They poured Coca-Cola on a black woman while she was working. What they didn't know was that her billionaire husband was about to walk in and change everything. The sticky soda slid down Nina Thompson's curls, soaking her navy blouse as her boss, Jessica Whitmore, laughed cruelly across the Apex marketing office in Manhattan. "Oops, I guess your boring ideas needed a little refresh," Jessica sneered, tossing the empty can onto Nina's desk. "Look, everyone," shouted Brad Mitchell, the account coordinator, recording with his brand new iPhone. "Our diversity hire is getting a Coca-Cola shower." At his side, Samantha Chun from HR cackled as she typed on her phone, muttering, "That's what happens when you hire for quotas instead of talent. #reality check. Nina stood frozen, soda dripping from her curls onto the investor reports she had carefully prepared. At 29, she was the only black analyst in an office full of privileged faces who had treated her like an outsider since her first day 6 months earlier. "You know what your problem is, Nina?" Jessica moved closer, the strong scent of her perfume mixing with the sweet smell of soda. "You don't know your place. You think you belong at our table just because you have a cheap public college degree." Through the glass walls of the conference room, other employees stared, some embarrassed, most indifferent. It was a Friday before Labor Day, the perfect time for cruelty with fewer eyes around. But Nina didn't cry. Her brown eyes shone, not with tears, but with determination. She calmly picked up her phone. "Calling your mommy? Or your Uber boyfriend?" Brad mocked, shoving the camera closer. "Betty still rides a subway in from the Bronx." Samantha laughed sharply. "Come on, guys, but seriously, Nina. How long can you keep pretending you're an executive on an assistant's salary?" What none of them realized was that Nina Thompson wasn't just another employee fighting for a seat at the table. She had secrets, connections no HR file could show. "Go ahead," Nina said softly, typing one quick message into her phone. Jessica frowned, confused by Nina's calm voice. "What's that supposed to mean? Did the sugar go to your head?" Nina glanced at the Patek Philippe watch on her wrist, a detail no one had ever noticed. "In 15 minutes, you'll understand." For the first time, Brad lowered his phone, unease crossing his face. Samantha noticed it too. Nina wasn't afraid. She wasn't angry. She was calm. Too calm. That's when the private elevator, the one reserved for the board, lit up on the 42nd floor. With a soft ding, the doors opened. 3 security guards stepped out, followed by a tall man in a Tom Ford suit worth more than their yearly salaries. "Nina," his deep voice cut through the office silence. "Are you okay?" It was Alexander Sterling. Her husband. Jessica, Brad, and Samantha froze, the weight of the moment sinking in. They had just crossed a line they could never come back from. Alexander's sharp gaze scanned the room. His expression hardened as he saw his wife's blouse, stained with soda, drops still falling from her hair. "Security," he ordered coldly. "Remove these 3 from the building. Now!" Jessica stepped forward, trying to act defiant. "Excuse me. Who do you think you are? This is our office. Nina works for us." "You're wrong," Alexander said firmly, standing protectively by Nina. "This is my office. Sterling Enterprises owns Apex Marketing." Brad's iPhone slipped from his hand and crashed to the floor. Samantha's face turned pale as she quickly searched LinkedIn. There it was, Alexander Sterling, chairman and CEO of Sterling Enterprises. Net worth, $7.8 billion. "That's the problem with judging people by appearances," Nina said quietly, wiping her face with a tissue. "You never care enough to learn who I really am." Her story had begun years earlier at an MIT conference, when she was a scholarship student and Alexander was a guest speaker. A talk about machine learning had grown into a love that defied every expectation. Jessica's voice shook. "Then why are you working here?" She couldn't believe the woman she mocked every day was married to one of the most powerful men in New York. For the first time since the humiliation, Nina smiled. "Because I believe in earning my place, not inheriting it," she said firmly. "I wanted to prove myself without using the Sterling name." What no one knew was that for 6 months, Nina had been carefully documenting every insult and act of discrimination. She had emails, audio clips of stolen ideas, Even security footage showing the way she was treated differently. All of it stored in the cloud, waiting for this very moment. You thought I was weak because I'm quiet, she continued, her eyes burning with determination. But you mistook dignity for submission. That was your biggest mistake. Just then, a man in a gray suit stepped out of the elevator. Marcus Chun, Sterling Enterprises lead attorney and Alexander's best friend. I have full documentation here, Marcus announced, handing folders to Jessica, Brad, and Samantha. Moral harassment, racial discrimination, and creation of a hostile work environment. This is ridiculous. Brad snapped. We were just joking. She never complained. Alexander picked up Brad's still recording iPhone. His voice was sharp, like dumping soda on her and calling it a diversity shower, like saying she lives in the Bronx because she's black. Samantha's eyes filled with tears. Please, I have bills to pay. A family. Nina's tone was calm but cutting. So do I. My mother's a nurse. My father a bus driver. They worked their whole lives so I could get an education. And you thought that made me less. What they didn't realize was that Nina had also been building something bigger. Over the past few weeks, she had secretly completed a new data analysis system that boosted Apex's efficiency by 47%. The project, worth millions, was filed under her name alone. You have 30 minutes to clear your desks, Alexander declared coldly. Any attempt at retaliation will bring immediate legal action. Jessica, desperate, turned to the stunned employees watching. Are you just going to let this happen? You all know what she's like. The silence was heavy. Finally, Tom Williams from IT stepped forward. Actually, Jessica, many of us admire Nina's work. You're the one who poisoned this office. As security moved in, Nina picked up her laptop and files. She paused beside Jessica and whispered, You know what's funny? I was going to quit today. But thanks to you, I get to leave with something better. Her Patek Philippe watch read 3:47 p.m. In 13 minutes, a company-wide memo would announce sweeping changes to diversity and inclusion. Alex, Nina said softly, touching her husband's arm, I don't want this to be just about revenge. I want to create something bigger. He nodded. He already knew what she meant. The scholarship fund. Yes, Nina said. 4 young black students in technology, funded with the value of the shares these 3 own. What her bullies had mistaken for weakness was actually the strength of patience, the power to gather evidence, wait for the right moment, and turn injustice into lasting change. But the storm was just beginning. Inside Apex's main auditorium, Marcus connected his laptop to the big screen. The words flashed. Evidence of hostile environment. Thompson versus Apex Marketing. An emergency all-staff meeting was underway. No, you can't do this. Jessica screamed, trying to snatch Marcus's laptop. It's invasion of privacy. Invasion of privacy? Alexander replied coldly, like the emails you sent to the whole department. The screen lit up with Jessica's words. The new diversity hire started today. Anyone want to bet how long before she's back in the ghetto? Gasps filled the room. The next slide revealed screenshots from a WhatsApp group named Elite Apex, where Brad had posted pictures of Nina with captions like found a missing maid and someone call her Uber. How did you get this? Samantha whispered in shock as her own Instagram post appeared, including one mocking Nina eating lunch alone with a caption, when the quota has no friends. For 6 months, Nina said calmly, stepping to the center of the room. You created your own digital trail of harassment. Every screenshot, every recording, every video. HR has copies of it all. Then the screen changed again, and the entire auditorium went silent. Project Prometheus, Predictive Marketing Analysis System. Developer, Nina Thompson Sterling. Estimated value, $47 million. Status, patented. While you wasted time humiliating me, Nina continued, her voice steady, I built an algorithm that will transform marketing analytics. Sterling Enterprises has already bought exclusive rights. Jessica's knees buckled. That means, Alexander added, every cent of profit from this project for the next 20 years will go to the Nina Thompson Fund for Black Youth in Technology, starting with a forced sale of the shares you 3 still own in this company. This is extortion. Brad yelled. We'll sue. Marcus calmly adjusted his glasses. Extortion is blackmail. We are presenting hard evidence of hate crimes, workplace harassment, and systemic racial discrimination. Crimes, by the way, that can carry up to 5 years in prison in New York. On the big screen, Apex's organizational chart appeared. 3 names flashed red: Jessica Whitmore, Brad Mitchell, Samantha Chun, all marked immediate termination. Just cause? You can't fire us for that. Jessica screamed, tears of rage streaking down her face. We'll fight this. You can try, Nina replied calmly. But maybe watch Brad's little video first, the one where he threw coke on me and called a diversity shower. The auditorium screen lit up. Brad's own voice echoed through the room. I bet you live in the Bronx and took the subway here today. Shame swept over the employees watching. Many bowed their heads, guilty for standing by in silence. To make it clear, Alexander announced, Sterling Enterprises is rolling out a strict compliance program. Any company that wants to do business with us will need to pass diversity and inclusion audits. Samantha broke down in sobs. My career, my reputation, it's over. Your reputation? Nina's voice was icy calm. You spent 6 months destroying mine. Now you're facing the result of your own actions. The final slide appeared. Nina Thompson Fund. Initial commitment, $50 million. Goal, 1,000 full scholarships for young black women in technology within 5 years. 50 million? Brad gasped. It comes from 3 places, Nina explained. The discrimination fines you'll pay, the bonuses that will be clawed back, and my own donation. Oh, and every company you applied will get a full report on why you were fired for documented racism. Good luck. Jessica dropped to her knees, sobbing. Please, I have bills, a mortgage. Funny, Nina said, her tone calm but devastating. I had bills too, while you stole my ideas, sabotaged my projects, and made me question my worth. The difference is, I turned my pain into progress. You turned your privilege into cruelty. Security led the 3 disgraced employees away. The big screen displayed one last message. True diversity isn't about quotas. It's about realizing that talent has no color, class, or zip code. The room erupted in applause. Nina stood center stage, coke stain still on her blouse, but her dignity shining brighter than ever. What no one in that building yet understood was that this was only the beginning, a moment that would spark a movement to reshape the entire tech industry. 6 months later, the grand auditorium of the Metropolitan Opera House was packed for the premiere of the documentary, Code Nina, How Corporate Racism Sparked a Revolution. Nina Thompson Sterling walked on stage in a sleek black Armani suit. Not to prove anything, but because she could finally choose how to present herself without judgment. When they threw Coca-Cola on me, she began, her voice echoing across the hall. They didn't know. They were watering the seed of change. Today, 347 young black students already have full scholarships in technology. The cameras pan across Fortune 500 CEOs, civil rights leaders, and, most movingly, the first Nina Thompson Fund scholars, bright young minds now studying at MIT, Stanford, and Harvard. The documentary revealed stunning details. Jessica had tried to sue Nina for defamation, but her own lawyers abandoned her after seeing the evidence. Brad, rejected by over 20 job interviews, was now working as a food delivery driver, the very profession he had once mocked. Samantha vanished from the corporate world, living in a small town, writing apology letters that went unanswered. The irony, Nina told the audience, is that just 3 days before the coke incident, I had finished an algorithm that detects discrimination in the workplace. And that humiliation gave me the last piece of data I needed. The app, called Equihire, had already been adopted by over 1,200 companies worldwide, earning $180 million in its first quarter, all profits going directly to the scholarship fund. Tech giants like Microsoft, Google, and Apple partnered to integrate it into their hiring systems. Tom Williams, the IT colleague who had defended Nina that day, now served as CTO of Sterling's Diversity Tech Division. Watching Nina turn humiliation into revolution, he told the New York Times, taught me that staying silent in the face of injustice makes you part of it. The most emotional moment of the night came when Nina's father, Marcus Thompson, a retired bus driver who had worked 40 years to educate his daughter, walked on stage holding the Nobel Peace Prize she had just been awarded. "My daughter has always been brilliant," he said, his voice breaking. "But people only saw her skin color. Now the whole world sees her brilliance." On the screen, images appeared of the old Apex marketing office. The company had collapsed, bankrupted after losing all sterling contracts. In its place stood the Nina Thompson Institute for Technological Equity, training young black innovators to use AI against systemic racism. Jessica Whitmore made one last public appearance on Forgotten Podcast, trying to paint herself as the victim. "I lost everything over a silly joke," she whined. The video went viral, not in sympathy, but as proof of how privilege blinds people to their own cruelty. Comments flooded in. "You didn't lose everything over a joke. You lost it because of years of racism." Nina closed her speech that night with words that became legendary. "They asked me if this was revenge. I said no, it was justice. Revenge destroys. Justice builds. I turned every drop of that coke into fuel for change. The real revolution isn't tearing down those who hurt us. It's building ladders so others never have to go through what we did." As she stepped off stage, her phone buzzed. A text from a 16-year-old girl in the Bronx. "Mrs. Sterling, I just got accepted into the scholarship program. I'll be the first in my family to go to college. Thank you for not giving up that day." Nina smiled, remembering her own words from that fateful Friday. "You just made the best decision of your lives." She was right, but not in the way her bullies had expected. A year later, academics coined a new phrase, the Nina effect, the phenomenon of turning institutional racism into systemic reform. Universities studied Jessica, Brad, and Samantha as cautionary tales of prejudice destroying its own hosts. Meanwhile, Nina Thompson Sterling kept building. Her mission was clear: turn every act of injustice into an opportunity for progress. The lesson was undeniable. In that Manhattan office, 3 people chose hatred and lost everything. 1 woman chose justice and changed the world. Because in the end, racism doesn't just break its victims. It destroys those who practice it.